All right, I usually don't consume national media content when it comes to the Saints because you can usually tell pretty quick that they have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. But I came across this video grading the entire New Orleans Saints 2025 draft. This is Steve Palisalo, I believe it's how you say his last name, and Sam Monson. They used to work for PFF. Now they're with the 33rd team. They have a YouTube channel that they do like a podcast on. So let's see what they have to say about the Saints 2025
Saints, a
draft.
fascinating one in New Orleans. They kick it off with Kelvin Banks at number 9 overall, the offensive tackle out of Texas. And the rumors were true. They were targeting a second-round quarterback. It's Tyler Shuck, the QB out of Louisville. So the 25-year-old, 26-year-old.
25. Let's not cheat him. He's not 26 yet. Yes, he will be 26 by the time the season starts. But hey, 25 for now.
Drafted in round 2 for the Saints. Vernon Broughton from Texas, defensive tackle in round 3. They go Jonas Sanker from Virginia, the safety, with their second third-round pick. Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma, linebacker in round 4. Quincy Riley, the cornerback out of Louisville, and with their second fourth-rounder. And then other interesting picks include Devin Neal from Kansas in round 6, the running back, and then Fadil Diggs from Syracuse, 7th-round edge rusher. Your thoughts on this Saints draft, Sam?
Yeah, interesting draft. It feels a little bit, I guess, unexciting, but I think it's good.
I would agree with that. Unexciting. It is an interesting draft because they went. How can you word this? Like, other than drafting the quarterback, every other pick was just so not flashy that it made it just kind of like, eh. But really, when you really look into each and every pick, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see, why they decided to go with that player. So it is, I would say uninteresting is a good way to put it, but I still think decent overall.
Good. Like Kelvin Banks in the first round made a ton of sense. Offensive linemen generally in this draft were going higher than the projections were at the top of the draft, certainly in the first round. So Kelvin Banks at number 9 makes sense to me. Not forcing a quarterback at 9 makes sense to me, especially given the slide from Shedeur Sanders, given the fact that Jackson Dart was the next one off the board. Tyler Shook in the second round. Look, identifying him as the quarterback, I understand it. It's not the one I would have gone with, but I get it. Like, after you got through Cam Ward, it was kind of chaos in terms of the quarterback evaluation. I think a lot of the Shedeur evaluation was not based on his on-the-field stuff. Tyler Shook, so he's interesting because weird backstory, incredibly long career. So much of it was derailed by injuries. The injuries were strange in and of themselves, like random broken bones, including ones where his leg just kind of buckled under him.
That's the thing with his injuries. Like, so many people reference his injuries, but it's like his injuries weren't like injuries that you would consider somebody to be injury prone. Like, it's not like a soft tissue. It's not torn ACLs. It's literal broken bones, like almost freak of nature type of deals.
So he's been in college a long time, is not actually that experienced in terms of playing time. The style that he plays,
and I'm gonna let it play. I hate to keep pausing it, but he's right. Like, even though he has been in college for 7 years, he doesn't have a ton of experience. So when I hear people say that, oh, he's probably reached his ceiling, it's like, what? No, he hasn't even played a ton of football. Like, physically, yes, he has reached his ceiling probably, but like in terms of like his game and how he plays and how good he is, absolutely not.
Is very throwbacky. It's not the way a lot of these modern quarterbacks are playing. It looks more like a quarterback from 20 years ago, and I think some coaches will gravitate towards that. Same with the sort of offense. Stylistically, it's more like those old offenses. And then, of course, you've got that giant red flag of he's literally the architect of maybe the single worst play I've ever seen from a quarterback, where he panics like somebody who's never played the game before, and underhand hot potato throws the ball away rather than taking a hit. And look, everyone has bad plays in there, but I think it's important to underline the difference between that play and like Will Levis, right? Almost every other quarterback's horrific, terrible, bad plays are trying to make a play that isn't there to be made. That play was different because it was genuinely like, I want to just get rid of this ball from my hands rather than be hit with while I'm holding it, and just underarm pitched it away. Like, it was so crazy that when it was posted on Twitter, JT O'Sullivan didn't believe it was real. Like, he genuinely thought that it was like CGI or AI had manufactured. Like, he could not believe.
So it definitely was bad play, but it was one time that he did and the underhand part of it. Like, there were multiple times where he threw the ball away underhanded. So obviously, to me, at least to me, it was obvious he was trying to throw the ball away, and he just didn't get enough on it because, like I said, multiple times on his tape, he threw the ball away underhanded. Now, it's just something he's not going to be able to do at the NFL level. He has to get that out of him, like leave that in college. But every quarterback has boneheaded mistakes. And listen, he threw it to the other team on this play. Guess what? It's the same thing if you were to like throw it normally to the other team, throw a regular interception. Same result, right? I understand it looks bad. It was bad, but like I said, when you really watch him and watch multiple of his games, there's my cat, you can really see that it's not rare to see him throw it underhand, but he's doing it to throw it out. So he was trying to throw the ball away, and it just didn't work out.
That was a real play that an NFL prospect made. And I think that's different from anything else you're going to see.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on that one play. It's alarming, but there's other plays on film. He does a little bit of chuck and duck. In my notes, I wrote he's got that downfield aggressive. He's downfield aggressive for better or for worse. Obviously, that play was different, but he's aggressive down the field for better or for worse. But I also wrote he's got this gunslinger creativity. Like he back shouldered a post route one time. You don't usually throw a back. You don't always see quarterbacks back shoulder it on a traditional post. Usually just don't throw it. But he's got some creativity to it if it's covered like that, is what I'm saying. So he's got some creativity to him. So there's some boom or bust. I was also shocked at how well and how often he threw rolling to his left. There's the Notre Dame touchdown in the red zone. There's another play against Virginia where he puts it. I tweeted out a few days ago, or retweeted. Puts it on his receiver's hands at the back of the end zone while rolling left. You don't always get that from a right-handed quarterback. So he's got some tools to work with. Yeah. The age thing, I think, can be overblown because you have
100%, and I've said it so many times on this channel, I don't want to talk about it for too long. So overblown, the age thing.
To weigh it a couple different ways. He just had this really nice year in the ACC at Louisville at the age of 25. He turned 25 during the season. That was his only real good year. That was it out of 7 years in college. So you have to weigh that. And the other part, it's not like, oh, he's 25, so you're not going to get 15 years out of him. He'll be too old. Like, that part's okay. So I don't think the age works against him as far as that goes. Hey, guys, just taking a quick break to tell you, hey, just over 50% of you are still on any of our shows. So if you have a chance.
And he was a 25-year-old breakout, then the fact that he was a 25-year-old breakout. Like, I'm concerned by the fact that he had multiple sort of significant bone-breaking injuries randomly, then that feels like a bigger red flag than the fact that he's 25 now. And look, the ridiculous play that I talked about before, it's so bad that if it was just that on its own, I would be already concerned. But I think for him in particular, it is indicative of a certain pattern of behavior under pressure that is also troubling. Like you mentioned, those chuck and duck plays. I think generally speaking, he does not look at all comfortable under pressure. He looks big picture wise, right? Everyone's always going to have individual plays here or there where they play well, they play badly under pressure. But overall, I think he has quite a troubling trend of sort of panicked play under pressure or very uncomfortable looking under pressure. So the way that Kirk Cousins had this for a long time, and this is not always a permanent thing. I think generally you tend to stay one way or the other in terms of how you relate to pressure. But early in Kirk Cousins' career, he had a lot of panicked plays under pressure. And actually the last few years when he was with Kevin O'Connell, he turned that around a bit and actually started to play a lot better under pressure and would stare down the barrel of the gun and make a play knowing.
Just real quick, like, yes, like it's true. Versus pressure, he does get happy feet. He does get dancy. But if you look earlier in his career before the injuries, he really wasn't like that. So, and obviously when you have so many season-ending injuries, that's going to be in your head constantly, right? So this is something he is going to have to work through, right? Like he is going to have to get over that mental block and just let it rip. Now, hopefully maybe, him being able to stay healthy for the entire last season helps him do that. And he can come into the NFL level and, be ready to rock. But it is something that he's going to have to get over. And like Sam mentions here, Kirk Cousins. That's a really good example of somebody who has gotten better with that throughout their career. And Jared Goff is another one who was really bad in it, doing it in his younger years, and is still not the greatest versus pressure, but has definitely gotten a lot better over the years with experience, and hopefully something, that's Tyler Shuck that he can do. Now, I will say that there were also tons of plays where he did make really good plays under pressure. So, he's kind of making it seem like it's every single play under pressure when it's just, that's not true.
He was going to take a hit and all those kinds of things. Right now, I think Tyler Shuck has a troubling relationship with pressure and does not have, some of the skills that would offset that. That would be a concern for a guy that I'm sort of identifying as a potential future starter and getting in the second round.
So the Saints take him at pick 40. We know Derek Carr dealing with an offseason shoulder injury. Not sure what his status will be for the year, but there's a path to the field, obviously. Shuck potentially playing this season. The Kelvin Banks move, I thought, it marks the second straight year now that the Saints have drafted a tackle in the first round. Last year was Talise Fuanga. I don't know. So there's a world where Trevor Penning is still back this year as the starting right tackle. They did not pick up his fifth-year option, but that's for 2026. He still has one more year with the Saints. So Penning could still start at right tackle. Fuanga started at left tackle last year. Banks could just start at left guard this year, or they could think about Banks just playing his natural left tackle spot everywhere where he played at Texas and moving Fuanga back to right tackle where he...
I don't think that's the case. I think that it's going to be the first one he mentioned. I think you're going to keep everything the same. Fuanga at left, Penning at right, and I think you're just going to slide Banks right in there at left guard. And then if Penning doesn't improve another year, then you can go about it however you want after that and after Penning is off the team. But right now, I think you keep it how it is because, Trevor Penning, for what it's worth, was an elite run blocker last year, and he took steps in the positive direction in terms of pass protection, but there are definitely still areas of, work that he needs to continue to improve on. And so hopefully he can take that leap because, man, if he could, that would be huge for the Saints, right? Like, you got your tackles and you got Kelvin Banks. I mean, just Trevor Penning, please take another step in the right direction, man, because it would be huge for the future of the Saints franchise.
He played in college at Oregon State and then trading Trevor Penning. So there's some flexibility there, but I think either way, whether it's this year or next, Banks is a future starting tackle, whether it's the left or right side here for the Saints. And there was a point in the draft where he was the consensus number 2 tackle before Amon Membu surpassed him in the consensus and on the draft board. But I think Banks is a reasonable starter at tackle. So that was a good pick, I think, at 9. Vernon Broughton for Texas, another. We talked about the year 7 breakout for the quarterback, but Broughton's more of a year 5 breakout for Texas. They've had a loaded defensive tackle group these last couple of years. Devondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Alfred Collins went in the second round. Broughton, though, was really productive. It just took 5 years for him to actually start, but like one of the higher graded.
Like in terms of him, Vernon, Broughton, whatever, however you say it. He just had so many like talented guys playing in front of him, like that he literally just got his chance this past season to show what he could do.
Defensive tackles in the nation last year at Texas. I think he's got some pass rush ability, but again, he does it at 23 years old, and how much does that matter? Danny Stutzman, I think, has some ability against the run as a linebacker. Worry about some of the stiffness and coverage for him. I thought Quincy Riley at corner is a really good depth play for a team that, I think did a nice job at free agency, shoring up the starting spots at corner. But I think he can compete for some starter snaps. He's feisty, could probably play inside and outside. So I think
there's a good chance we see Quincy Riley as a starter come week 1. I really, really do think so. If you look at it, it's just there's not a whole lot of competition for him. You got obviously you're going to have Kool-Aid starting, you're going to have Alante starting, assumably back in the nickel position where he's best. And then you got on the outside there, you got Isaac Yiadom back, you got Rico Payton, you got Quincy Riley, a couple other guys. So there's a really good clear path to the field for Quincy Riley, depending on how he looks in camp.
I think there's a path for him to get to the field. So again, I didn't love a lot of the players up and down the board, but like other teams, Riley in the 4th has a path to the field. Devin Neal, I loved his quickness in short areas as a running back. There's opportunities for a bunch of these guys.
Yeah, Quincy Riley. Some of the day 3 picks I really like. Quincy Riley, Devin Neal, the running back from Kansas, and then Fadil Diggs, the Syracuse edge rusher. Those 3 guys, I think, slipped further than I was expecting them to, and to pick all 3 of them up, I think, is a nice move. Diggs, again, we're back on board with this. I'm buying all the propaganda. Former Texas A&M, where he was not good, and then immediately left and looked better. So I'm buying that last year's version of him, the Syracuse version, is the player you're going to get going forward. And I think for a 7th round pick, that's a steal.
Consensus did not love the Saints. They have them at 28th overall as far as GPAs go. Nobody higher than a B. It seems, I know there's one A minus, a whole bunch of Bs. But there was a lot of consistent C's and a couple D's in there. So people didn't love the Saints. I wonder if that's just QB, if it's, as you mentioned, it doesn't feel, it feels unexciting. But there's some solid football players from round 3 on, as we've talked about.
Yeah, in terms of value relative to the consensus board, Arif's work didn't love them either. Didn't hate them, but they were like 10 from the bottom of the value picks. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why, the Saints wouldn't be high on the consensus boards in terms of overall drafts, because again, like, they didn't draft names that were I had to say popular because it kind of goes deeper than that, but that's really, I guess, the only way to put it. Names that were circulated a lot. They really just drafted for need, right? They didn't get flashy with it. They drafted for need, and I'm thankful for that, man. I think they had a decent draft. Obviously, time is going to tell. Like, all of these guys could end up stinking, and nobody knows. But some of the later round picks, like Devin Neal in the 6th, dude. Like, what? Any other? I'm confident in saying, like, any other running back class, Devin Neal is not on the board, maybe not even on the board in day 3 period, right? And then Fadil Diggs, I know a lot of people are high on him. Now, I watched him, and I'm not so sure, but a lot of people smarter than me are high on him, so hopefully that works out too. But, overall, I'm content with the Saints draft for now, so appreciate you guys watching. Peace.